choose to some third world country and so on like that. Those things are great. They sound really great. They make us feel good and all that. It doesn't really help. Doesn't help at all. Look at you. Look at how many people you've helped, and then you've gotten burdened. We'll just magnify that, right? As a whole, as a world, and that's why stuff doesn't help. I'm not saying not help people like that, but we got to do it at a different level of consciousness, and that's really the key, transforming you to a higher level of consciousness. And then whatever that you do is going to be more beneficial for you. And if you're not in that right state, then it's not really beneficial. Okay. All right. So this is kind of an interesting topic. It's travel and consciousness. Okay. So what do they have? What do they have in common? Another way of putting it, another title I think would be is a journey to self-discovery. So unveiling the connection between travel and consciousness. So how does that work, right? Why does travel help you? Okay. So a lot of you who are XIers, you'll start to understand. I'm just going to go through some of the topics that we're going to talk about. And then again, this is a free forum. Also, I'll generate frequencies for you with my abilities that I've gotten through 3 near-death experiences that help you, say, really shift and really utilize yourself, especially those who are on the 18 days or who did the healing mastery, where your abilities, your potential are coming in now. So what is travel and consciousness? How are they connected? Okay. Well, it's really, really simple. And then the other topics will be how to use travel the right way, how changing your surroundings and breaking out of familiar outlines, familiar routines can help you step into a new identity, changing your frequency to change your experience, making your life a vacation. Gosh, we've got so many topic points that we got to discuss here. And then we'll get into the scans here. Using travel as a temporary escape or band-aid, and connecting with nature, how to do it right. A lot of us, again, go to nature to basically escape. And then human connection and the power of the mastermind. All right. So a lot to cover. And again, this is just straight, say, science or logistics on how to do it. So what that means is that what that means is that the outcomes are reproducible. Unlike today's science, by the way, there's a lot of exceptions to the rule, right? Clinical studies and so on. The icon of a scientific study, is that all the variables have to be, say, consistent for that specific theory to work. If it's not, then it doesn't really work. But humans are, they've got such, there's so many different variables, where you are, how old you've been, how old you are, what foods you eat, and all this stuff that take into consideration, that might not work in a clinical study. So my studies are like field studies. You guys, hundreds of thousands of client sessions, again, with provable results. Again, more scientific, I would say, than, say, the current standards of science, where, again, it's just clinical studies, lab research, and so on like that, right? A lot of your medications, by the way, clinical studies, the placebos in most of them, and again, I'm not making this up, you can look it up, the placebos in those scientific studies were more powerful than the actual, say, medication that they're trying to push upon you, by the way. I'm not saying don't take medications, they're really fantastic, but again, the power of the mind is what I'm getting at. The power of the mind is more important. And this is what XI is about. This is what becoming exponential intelligence is about. The reason why I say that is because, and how that ties into travel and consciousness, is that this is a process that you can use. This is a process that Jesus and Buddha and many individuals doing it the right way have used to really step aside. In fact, Matthew McConaughey, he did a interview with Sadhguru, and he's got this book out. A really cool guy. If anybody knows him, by the way, have him contact me. We'd have a great chat, and because he's really searching. He's really searching on, say, what life is about. Now that he's done the entertainment side and all that stuff, again, like a lot of those individuals, it's like, shit, I did all that stuff. I thought that was going to be fulfilling, but it's like, why isn't it? And now he's like on a road to search on what it's really about, right? And he actually went. He actually went to someplace and just sat alone. He traveled, right? He found out about himself. Again, his stories on that Sadhguru and Matthew McConaughey interview. So you might want to take a look at that as well. All right. So travel and consciousness, how are they connected? Okay. Well, what happens is that there's different ways to use travel to enlighten. Okay. One, I'll give you the conventional way. Okay. Most people use travel or a vacation or getting away to escape. Okay. So whether it is an actual travel, okay, or whether it's just like escaping from your house to the office, or escaping, going to to a bar, or in Minnesota here in the wintertime, there are so many fish houses on the lake. And yeah, it's a great, it's a great sport. I've been out there. You dig a hole in the lake, and you sit there for I don't know how long, and you fish. It's just fun hanging out with the guys. But a lot of these guys, they fucking escape. They literally, they have their TVs, they've got everything, they've got their satellite dishes and all that stuff. I mean, it's like a five-star hotel on the lake. It's pretty cool. But why are they doing that? Right? Again, escaping the kids, the wife, and so on. Reality, right? So those types of things, those individuals who say take drugs or get addicted to things, or do extreme measures, extreme sports type enthusiasts are like that as well. Okay. Now I'm in extreme sports. I race, skydiving, and all that stuff, snowboarding, and many more. But I do it for a different purpose. I do it for a different reason. So most people, what they do is that they use travel, or again a movement of, say, a movement of space and time. You're in this space and time, or a coordinate within the fourth dimension. You try to escape, and then you try to stay there, and it feels enlightening. But what happens is that, imagine yourself as a rubber band. Okay, take a breath in. Okay, you have this identity. Okay, that's stuck in position zero. We'll make it an experiential experience, so you can experience, so you can know how it feels, and then we'll do it the right way. Breath in again. So you're in point A. Right, just imagine you're just sitting here. You're at some point, if you're an advanced, doing the accelerated 18-day hyper meditations that we do, that transforms your life in a mere 18 days, which is really amazing. Imagine again, you on that checkerboard floor in the Matrix, and then how most people do it is that they escape. They go somewhere else. They leave their old identity, their old baggage, their old problems, whatever, behind. Not their current problems that probably came from their old self, behind. They go somewhere else. Okay. If you don't have that much of a great of an imagination, imagine yourself at home, and then you go on vacation. Okay. Fortunately, most families, they go on vacation to like re-render or regenerate the love for their family and that reconnection. But what do they bring along? All their old garbage. So, they're in a beautiful setting. They could have great opportunities, but something always gets ruined. Have you guys ever been on vacation like that? Right? Right. You're going somewhere. Everything's supposed to be so perfect and amazing. And then what happens? The old shit happens, the old arguments happen, and so on like that. So there's a couple of reasons why. Okay. But imagine the distance, right? In this scenario, in your mind's eye, or your feeling, breath in. Again, notice where you are, and then notice when you go on vacation, right? Or notice that you've been on vacation. All right. So, how far in your mind's, say, reference points did you go? How far did you separate from yourself? Now, imagine a rubber band between you. Okay. Now, as you separated into, say, another dimension on the earth, that the further you go from, say, your home point, the more that rubber band has to stretch. Some of you have been traveling forever. You've got escape mechanisms that I'm reading, right? You've been escaping yourself. It's like, God, if I move away from my parents, I'm going to travel. I'm going to go here. And then what happens? You find yourself with all the same bullshit that you were with your parents. And then you go, well, I'm going to go travel again. So you become a lifelong traveler, basically an escape artist, right? So in this situation, just observe again, the further you've gone, or if you just keep going, if you just keep moving, your home point, your 0 point always is moving with you. But again, you're still the same person. And then what happens as you age, you basically snap back because you're not strong enough to keep that tension. Right? Or something happens, say a serious situation happens for you, and then boom, you snap back into your old self. So that's a conventional reason on why you want to travel. People want to explore. Elon Musk, he wants to go to Mars. Yeah, and it's good. It's like saving the planet and so on like that. It's like, no, man, he just doesn't feel comfortable being in human, as a human, because there's human consciousness and evolutionary of humans in his mind. It's just like, it's not very efficient. Could be a lot more efficient than what it is. And he's absolutely right. But going to Mars, again, you're taking your old stuff behind. So let's take a breath in again. So now we know the conventional method, or maybe in the past you've done that, right? You've like, well, if I go get a new job, that's a travel scenario as well, right? I'm going to go get a new job and it'll be okay. I'm going to move into a new house. It'll be okay. I'm going to change location. It'll be okay. But do you notice what happens? Everything just keeps following you. Your old self keeps following you. Okay. So in an XI world, what we do is we travel, but we travel. Sure, we travel to different locations and so on like that. But we prepare first. So as we travel, or as we get ready to travel, and many of you have gone through this, by the way. So comment in, breath in again. What we do is like we change you. We change the perception of who you are by changing your level of consciousness that you exist in, right? It's all about, again, space and time and your multidimensional self, okay? So you're in point A. Okay? What you did was you shed away all the old versions, your identities of who you are, of self, okay? You've morphed into another dimension of self, in another consciousness. Let's take a breath in again. Just notice your upper chest. You're a whole different person. And for those people who don't believe me, for those who've changed this way, you're a whole different person. Okay. Write in on how different you are. So what happens is that your identity is so changed. You're so different. So now what you do is like you travel somewhere, say, to find new concepts of who you are, to find different cultures, to find different opportunities, to find, say, different types of relationships, to see how other people are doing it. So you become an observer, not an escape person, an escape artist. This is like, I'm finding who I am, and the home that I'm at, where I'm at. Well, I've seen all these solutions and they're not beneficial for me. The reason why you landed where you are is because, again, your genetic patterns, societal patterns, and so on and so on, right? And this is where people live in a certain neighborhood that those individuals are, say, of the same mastermind. People live in a certain country, they're of a similar mastermind. People live in a certain style of home, again, of the same mastermind, and so on and so on. And again, I'm not saying anything of that is wrong. It's just I'm just showing you how people just migrate or gravitate. You might not even know the area that you are. Say you come into a new country, you might not even know, say, the area. Right? You're in a new country, you're moving in, you're leaving your old stuff behind, and you've brought all your old shit behind, from the past. You will gravitate into a neighborhood that's very similar to your previous neighborhood. At first, you might move in. It's like, gosh, this neighborhood or house doesn't feel right to me. And in due time, you'll again find yourself surrounded by people and situations that resonate with you internally. Okay, so again, we don't want to do that. What we want to do again is develop ourselves to a higher level of self, like you do in XI. And then what you do is, like, you travel to discover. So life becomes a buffet for you. You travel and you start to discover all the things that could have been for you, which allows you to go, shit, I've got a lot of life to live. And this is where life becomes really, really, really fantastic. It becomes amazing for you. This is where you get, say, to taste the variety of life that's there. Life does not become mundane. And as you, say, travel in this sense, and then you come home, your home life starts to change. And as your home life starts to change, you might think a lot of people, again, some of you have redecorated, redesigned your whole house, not just, change furniture here and there, but redecorated at a massive level, right? You've got rid of those things that, reminded you of the old self or was a reflection of the old self. So that's the proper way of, say, shifting and transforming, where you transform, you go on vacation, you come back, you're a total different being. Your environment has to change. So that's an indication, again, that you've changed internally. You change at a very deep level, your timeless self level, and then you change your psychology, your emotional state, your physical being. A lot of you have changed physically, right? Your facial features, the way your body shape is, you've changed through XI. And now it's like, gosh, you know what? You even change, partners and so on, right? Exactly. So that's the proper way to do it. So travel, again, allows you to ascend into consciousness. You start to understand that travel is not just about escaping, but it's about going to a higher level of self. It's about creating a strong foundation of who you are, okay? And then building upon that. So the more you travel in this way, the more you find yourself. A lot of times it doesn't have to be physical travel, by the way. You can travel, again, different conscious levels. Again, most even in that state, astral travel, or, going into the mental state and then meditating on something. Again, people use that as an escape mechanism. In XI, we use it as a defining or honing mechanism. Right? You've just like the statue of David, right? The big piece of marble, right? You chipped away, the big chunks and so on like that. Now you're refining it by traveling, moving away, and it's a really amazing experience for you when you start to travel in that way. So that's how to use travel the right way. Another aspect of, when you start to change your surroundings, you start to break away from, say, familiar routines. So even if you're not traveling, guys, take a different route to work. Take a different route, even if it's a little longer, to your grocery store or to wherever you're going to go. Again, do something different. Change it around. It shakes you up. It puts you into the present moment. That's why you want to do things different than your routine. You have a routine in the morning and basically you're a robot. you can not even be there consciously, and you just go through the process and you find yourself at work, right? You missed a whole opportunity of celebrating who you are by just going through the process. That morning routine, getting up, putting on your makeup, shaving, and all that stuff, that should be that should turn into a tradition where you start to honor yourself. Right? Instead of going and honoring, I don't know, a deity or whatever that we do, those traditions. No, start to make it a custom to honor yourself every morning. Highly, highly important. And as you do that, again, you start to recreate who you are at a deeper level. You start to see the grandness of who you are. And this is where you go, shit, you know what? I got to move out of here. I got to move into a better place. A lot of you who travel or move from house to house to house to house, just because it doesn't fit well. Again, those are escape artists, like I talked about. Once you define who you are, you'll start to actually settle in. You'll have, say, a solid, a solid home base, so to speak, and then you can travel and come back and define who you are even more. It's quite amazing. Some of you are nomads, which is totally cool. As long as you know who you are. Again, you're not escape artists, you're nomads, just observing. It's like, I'm just going to hone in and be in this space and really learn about myself here. And then when I'm done learning about myself here, and this is all that this has to offer, I'm going to go somewhere else and travel. So that's another way of expanding into higher levels of consciousness. The key is the reason why you're traveling. Okay? Is are you trying to escape who you are, or are you found yourself and now you want to define who you are? Okay. Another version of travel, by the way, is like, I'm going to go get another job. I'm going to go start another career. I'll have another. I'll move away from spirituality into money, or vice versa. I'm going to find another partner. Again, you're traveling because you're escaping who you don't want to be. So my suggestion again is to travel. I mean, find yourself and then travel. Now we can use travel to really knock you out, and that's what we do in XI. Take a breath in. Some of us connect with nature, right? They escape to the outdoors. You see these people every weekend. Like, what they're going on a fishing trip or a ski trip or whatever it is, right? And again, that's totally cool. It settles their mind and so on like that. But what if you could accelerate that, where it's not just an escape? Okay, nature is a fantastic, fantastic healer, fantastic therapist if we do it really right. Okay, what nature does, what most people do in conventional wisdom, is that. Somebody's here says, I love staying at home. Travel is overrated. Of course it is. Now that you've found yourself, Jenny, it feels good to be within yourself and learn more about yourself. Right? But anyway, when you go out to nature and when you're doing it right, again, most people, what they do is they go to nature, they dump all their worries on nature and so on like that. Just like it literally is just like, like pets and so on. You dump all your stuff on the pets, and the pets just accumulate it over time. But nature accumulates it over time as well. That's why you go into parks that are, heavy traffic and so on, and it doesn't feel like nature anymore. It looks beautiful, but what's that missing piece? Have you guys ever noticed that? Right? Or you go to beaches and stuff, and even if it's nobody's there, you can just feel that, God, you know what? It's not nature anymore. What the hell happened to it? Right? It looks all the same, but what's missing? Why does it feel so dirty and so on? I mean, you guys have been in nature like that. Again, because we've dumped so much stuff, you're starting to feel the frequencies. Even if you don't feel the frequencies, you get that vibe that, gosh, you know what? This isn't the nature I'm looking for. Let's go somewhere where no one, and this is when you do go into nature, people, who want to escape into, say, the not so well beaten paths and so on, right? They want to go into, say, a cleanliness space. Or somebody said somebody's in a dense forest. That's beautiful, right? again, where nobody has traveled. Why? Because you want to get the purity, the pure frequencies of nature. Nature frequencies, again, there's almost a presence that takes over you when you're in nature. So let's take a deep breath in again. Let's bring in that pure nature frequency for you. Again, take a breath in and just notice the head, the sides, and the shoulders, the top of the back, and so on. Never been, but makes me think of New York's Central Park. Yeah, you go to Central Park, it's like, holy shit. It's beautiful. The trees are there and, grass in there and so on like that. And it's like you walk through and it's just like you feel the heaviness, the burdens, the murders and all that shit that have gone in that space. So, yeah. But anyway, let's clean all that stuff up. Breath in. Let's bring the purity of nature, that frequency that you're seeking. And by the way, once you become exponentially intelligent, that essence of nature can reside in your home, by the way. You don't have to go to nature, but it's always nice to go. There we go. Notice how that feels, even if you are listening to this as a recording. There we go. Those of you here like Ivy Blue, it's true. I'm also saying I often go to a park, but it feels empty and I leave feeling empty too. Yep. So when you become exponentially intelligent, you start to understand the vibes. It's not necessarily nature, it's just the garbage that people have left behind. So in XI, what happens is that you go to nature, and again, you're set right. You go to nature, you become exponentially intelligent to a level. You go to nature, you become observant, and then instead of dumping your stuff on nature, right? Like, people dump again their stuff on pets and their kids and so on, right? What you want to do is that you start to say resonate. You start to see how nature resonates and how it stays pure and clean. You start to become in awe of possibilities, and you breathe that in. You start to harmonize with nature. And as you harmonize with nature, you're not dumping those frequencies, because those frequencies of sadness, loneliness, pain, rejection, whatever that you're going through, those are, say, solid chunks of frequencies that you just literally are here. Take this. It's like leaving your garbage behind, conventional ways. But what you're doing, okay, is as you say harmonize with nature, or again with XI, okay, you start to say generate frequencies or harmonize at a higher level frequency, again just like nature. And then what happens is that big chunk of garbage starts to break down, and it starts to become fertile soil for you. So you're not just leaving big chunks that it's just like plastic. It just never decays, right? That's basically what you're doing when you leave, or when you go into nature and dump like that. Okay, and this is what you all are feeling, right, in a park. So in a park, it should just stay clean and pure if people were doing it right, and that actually should enhance. By the way, it should even get to a point if more people, and I'll explain that in just a second. But take a breath in. Let me just step back. Let me finish this sequence for you. Just helping you reset how you go into nature, and you'll feel the difference next time you go, by the way. You'll start to resonate. It's like, oh, that's how nature keeps itself clean. That's how nature sheds off the garbage. That's how nature recycles what should be dying off, what isn't needed anymore, and it turns it into fertile soil. So if you look at nature, there's a lot of death and decay. That makes sense for you? But why does it feel so good? Because nature, again, breaks it down, separates it, and it learns from the experience of the past. Again, fertile soil to come back, get stronger in the future. Humans, they just like, I got to keep it in me. And then you get so full. It's like, here, we didn't learn from this experience. We just held on to them. And now we're so full that we're just dumping it off on stuff. Dump sites, basically, nature has become dump sites. So in this scenario, you start to break down all the garbage. And this is where, imagine Central Park. Take a breath in. No matter what's happened there, imagine like if everybody went in there and started to harmonize with nature, and then all the garbage that's been piled there, just a big pile. It's just a big dump, basically. All the stuff that's been piled there starts to break down. It starts to fertilize who's there. The people who go there start to say understand experiences because it's a mastermind now, right? You stepped into that mastermind. You start to say understand and learn from those experiences that people in the past have come through and into Central Park as they've harmonized. So you start to learn and expand. You start to go, oh, okay, this isn't working for me. This is where brilliant ideas come in. So nature becomes, instead of becoming a dumping ground, it starts to become a think tank on in for societies, like natures and parks that a lot of people frequent. Right. Otherwise, what we do is like we always do, right? We dump. The dump gets full. We find another location. This is where state parks. Basically they get outused or outdated. How can nature get outdated? And then it's like, gosh, we got to go find a new park. We got to explore deeper into nature. That's what we've done in the past. And that's why we do it. Let's not do that anymore. Let's clean up where we are. Again, start to harmonize and then start to clean up nature and then start to, again, use and recycle the past experiences so we don't have to recreate them again, especially in large cities. If you look at large cities, I don't care where it is, France, New York, look at San Francisco. That's just a big garbage dump. Used to be one of the most beautiful cities that I've visited, and now it's a big garbage dump, right? A lot of refuse. Why is that? Because the frequencies, not about better planning, city planning, or anything like that. It's not about pouring money and all that. It's a financial center. It's just that there's so much garbage. There's so much tapping into it, hatred and so on, that's in the city there, that it's just destroyed itself. Nobody wants to be there anymore. And then what do? We'll go build a new city. It's happening in China, building new cities and escaping the old. You don't want to do that again. You come back. You clean yourself up. This is where you exchange the cities, today's city centers. Have you noticed it becomes dirtier and older? And then what we do is we change buildings, right? We change buildings and infrastructure. And it's like, hey, it's all new now. No, it's not. It's all the same bullshit. It's just covered up now. You've made that shit smell better and look better. Simple as that. But if cities, they would be, again, think tanks where people could literally go into that city and it'll feel like vibrant, like some cities do when they're new, right? Or some cities do when the people in that area are clean and always say trying to better themselves in a frequency level, right? So that's where cities can really literally shift. That's how city planning should be, right? You go in there, it's a big healing pot rather than a big dumping pot. This is where we shift to we transform. This is where people become more and more honest. This is where you go into big cities, you're always worried about theft. You can go to a city even in Peru, like Cusco, or some other cities in Peru, and there's a lot of theft there. There's a lot of damage there, and so on like that. Why? Because again, those individuals, they haven't awakened. They've lost themselves trying to become more, Americanized or I don't know what that means. The people are so brilliant. They're so bright and clean, but then they adapt the bullshit of, say, the advanced cultures. They're not so advanced. You might look more advanced, so on, but you're not. You're not. Your consciousness is far worse. So this is a whole different way. As we end, this is a whole different way to, say, transform and understand, say, city planning. Okay, and it goes beyond feng shui, obviously. So somebody was asking me to come to Germany. I'd love to. I'd love to come to Germany. I think that's one of the biggest things right now. Talking about Germany, you know, that consciousness of what happened there. And by the way, that's happened to a lot of other countries, right? But for some reason, they perpetuate that story over and over again, right? And you can't get over it. And hence, it's still alive today. Like what happened not too long ago, what, about 75, 80 years ago, I think, right? It's not too long ago, right? What happened? That's one lifetime. That's one person's lifetime. One human, basically. What happened in Germany? Not a long time ago. So that still exists because we keep perpetuating it in the news. We keep perpetuating it. I'm not saying not talk about it, but the wound is still festering. Okay? The wound is still festering in Russia, in China, in Afghanistan now, and so on and so on, and then it'll keep festering. What we're saying is, like, if you're in those places again, learn how to become exponentially intelligent. You start to, say, clean up, and you start to use the distortions of the past into great fertile soil for us to, say, go on to a different level of consciousness, and then that's where we start to clean up. So these are different ways of using travel. If you're going on vacation, you can go on vacation, really get into the moment with you. You come back, you're still in the moment, which is really cool. So you clean yourself up. If you're traveling for work, again, it's not an escape from home. Or it's like, shit, you despise, you're always going outside because you're losing yourself more and more. So all those opportunities of you traveling starts to turn into opportunities of growth and consciousness. And as you learn how to travel and find yourself more and more, this is the cool part, guys. As you define yourself more and more and you know who you are, you can travel different realms of consciousness. This is where astral travel, this is where expansiveness, this is where possibilities of what this reality could be can come in even faster, which is really cool. So, all right. So just checking questions.
You know who you are. You can.
Sorry about that. So it's a great opportunity for you, cities, societies, and so on, to always stay bright and stronger and get better and better and better. That's what you want to leave your footprints for the future, right? But what do we leave? A lot of just garbage behind. And then the kids who come up, it's like, what the hell happened here? Why are we living like this? So, all right, so let's get into the scans, guys, and those who are new. Again, the scans are with my abilities that we all have. I teach people on how to, say, come into higher levels of self, basically, and that's how you transform and become the great individual that you have potential of. So on these scans, basically, I don't need to know who you are. You can just go, hey, scan me. I don't need to know your name or anything like that. But I can sense, I can tap into your frequencies. It's kind of like an IP address that you have. Okay. I can tap into your frequencies and pinpoint exactly what's going on with you. from what I'm seeing and from what I'm hearing, is like nobody else in the world could actually do that. So these are really highly advanced technologies, right? That we're using, and I call them technologies because they're more advanced than anything that we've got here. You know, when you can do that, it's quite amazing. That's the potential that we all have. Just imagine if more and more individuals were awakened to, say, their abilities, not just the way I do it, but the way you would do it. It's just amazing what we could do, right? So, and one more thing, guys, that's really important for us, for me. By the way, I encourage you. We've got something really, really important that I want to talk about, but on a private forum that's coming up that's affecting me, and it'll probably affect you guys as well. So, so I don't know if the team is going to put on that private link to join. So that's coming up. What are they doing, Debbie? Okay. Okay, yeah. So that's coming up. They'll put that link. So if you have time, guys, again, really, really important for me, for you, actually for the world. It's a big shift, and it's time to, well, literally say break through. Give me a second here. Really, literally, it's time for the world to literally break through and be set free. So that's coming up at 12:30 my time. So in about a little over an hour, basically. Okay, it's all free for you. All right. So before we scan, let me read this this disclaimer. Okay, so all right, ready? This is Masajati with Exponential Intelligence. Sunday, July 16th, 2023. I am not a medical doctor. I don't diagnose or heal. I can scan your frequency signature and tell you what I see. So please, if I tell you what I'm seeing physically, check with a professional. If you ask to be scanned today, you are agreeing that we may use your session on any public media to help inspire others. So remember, if you don't want us to share your session, please do not ask to be scanned. There's private sessions that you can do. There's lots of different, say, opportunities that you can do it in private. All contents are protected by copyright. You may not use our content in any way, shape, or form for any purpose without my written permission. All right. All right. So again, if you don't want to be scanned, don't go, oh, I want to be scanned, and then, because we had people go and go, hey, can you delete that off? No, it's not. It's a public forum. So like I said, if you don't want to be scanned, don't raise your hand. All right. Or don't ask to be scanned. So this is Hannah. Can you check in on me and my boyfriend? We're both on the call right now. Yeah, so you're doing really, really fantastic. Seems like you're starting to break clean from your old selves, both of you. When the reason why you got together is literally like, again, you're kind of like, um, you feel like you were runaways. Like one ran away, the other ran away, and then you guys met, at a train station or whatever, and now it's like you were both running away, and that's why you met. Now you're starting to go, shit. You know what? We don't have to run away anymore. Yeah, you're running away to find yourselves. Now the two of you, which is really nice, the two of you are starting to help each other redefine themselves. Okay, and sometimes when people do that, just note that it's like, say that he'll point out something that's incongruent with you. It's not because again, it's not because he's dissing you or anything like that. It's just because it's incongruent, right? He's just straight out honest, and the other way around. So when you guys start to see each other, and incongruencies that you might be running, and some of you or one of you, from one saying, I think it's you, is like, Hannah, yeah, for you, you're actually seeing your boyfriend's like, oh, you know what, whatever you're doing there, that pattern, that's coming from your grandma. That pattern is coming from, from your mom, and so on. So you're starting to see how your partner, your boyfriend is being created. And then you'll see that in you. So it's a really a great opportunity. So at this level, you're really finding yourself. So what I was helping you with, the two of you, is really perpetuating, say, bringing you new tools, bringing you new insights so you can see yourself from a very different perspective. Okay. And as you start shedding away, as a note, as you start to shed away, don't blame the other person. Just note that here's you, there's the other person, and whatever that you're seeing, that filter is all in between. It's just a lot of garbage that you're peeling away. Okay, that garbage is not neither one of you. So look through the garbage and look at the real person, and that'll really help you out. So by the way, if you ask to be scanned, I read you. Please comment in on how accurate that was. Not for my sake. I know I've done this so many times. I know I'm very accurate, but it's good for you, especially for healing mastery individuals, to go, okay, how did Moss do that? And what are the mechanics, so I can start doing that. And for those who don't believe, you go, oh, okay, there's got to be a thing to this, right? So JR says, Moss, help. I keep repeating a pattern of losing finances. When is this going to stop? Yes. So it's not really about finances. What you do, JR, is literally you pull, you're always like putting out a fire in your life. So it's not just about finances. It's almost like, you run after, say, your partners or whatever. Something happens. Again, you're always putting out fire. And the way you put out a fire is like you're here, but you move forward in time. You literally are moving, and this is where you get anxious. This is where things happen to you. This is where you get out of time. This is where you lose yourself, and so on. And it's not masculine, by the way, or feminine, whoever you are. So the key is you run a masculine frequency, by the way. So if you're female, let's remove that. If you're masculine, it's a kind of a feminine frequency. So take a breath in. So in this scenario, so your problem is, again, not your finances, because if you're forward in time, there is no density that can be created. Or if you're backward in time, in your case, you're forward. So let's pull you back in, okay? And you're solid. So this is where, take a breath in. This is where you start to see your problems from a different perspective. You're not jumping out of yourself. Right? You're not trying to jump out and put out the fire. You're just going to stay calm, and then you'll see, oh, now I know why that fire got started. So once you start to notice why the fires got started, then you start to solve problems at a much, much deeper level. And this is where, again, your finances will start to, say, accumulate for you, rather than accumulate and then you let it go. Again, just like your relationships, right? You get close to a point, and then something happens, and then you put out the fire, or again, you're always running away. Seems like back in the day, it's like you were just fine who you are, and so on, like that. Then a person would come in, say, like kind of like an alcoholic parent or something like that, or an abusive parent, and then it's like you're fine and comfortable, and then they walk into your room, and it's like this, and then you just like run out of yourself trying to like be who they are, so to shift, to make them happy or whatever, or escape so you don't get abused and so on, like that. That's the origin of that pattern. You're ready to release that for you. And that's what I was helping you. It's like, shit, you know what? I can go back and stay in my body and just stay comfortable. And again, just stay happy, because you're a naturally happy, safe person, other than that scenario for you. Okay. So it's a nice place. Welcome home. Is it Lexa? Would love a scan, please. Sure. So, Lexa, this is a different version. Lexa, basically, you've left your body behind, and you're just traveling. You're going into your head space all the time. This is where your emotions have been, say, maybe damaging for you. Or you might have gone through some kind of experience, an abusive experience, or you don't like your body, or you've gotten ridiculed, or you ridicule yourself. So what you're trying to do is go through life just in your head, a non-emotional state, so on. But you leave a big scar behind. So instead of and a lot of women, a lot of guys do this as well. what they do is like life doesn't work out. They've gotten abused, relationships haven't worked out, they've gotten demasculated for men and so on like that, and they become really abrasive or aggressive because they go into their head and it's all logic, right? So they use a lot of logic, and then that logic is still based on the old version of self, so it doesn't really work out, right? So it'll take you into the same arena, but you lose yourself more and more. So was it Lexa? Take a breath in, huh? So let's put you back into your body. Sometimes as you come back, you'll start to remember the reasons why you want to escape your body or go into your headspace, right? Because you can't do anything right or anything like that. But what happens as well, if you're doing it at a higher level of consciousness, what will happen is that as you drop into yourself, okay, as you start to drop into yourself, you start to heal and push away the memories that allow you not to like your body. You push all that shit out because it's not you in the first place, right? It's just not you. And that's where, say, fantastic things happen for you. This is where you start to love yourself. This is where you start to harmonize with yourself. This is where your emotions, are congruent with who you are. And then your logic becomes a body brain logic rather than the logic up here, which is always running from fear and trying to say, hold on to security. Okay. So again, comment in on how accurate that was. Let's see. Mighty Savage. Yes. So you are breaking away old shackles. You've done a great job. Your pattern is basically you get ready, you get ready, you get ready, and then you make a break for it. Okay. So the past few months, you start to identify your weaknesses and so on. And what you do is like, you start to identify your weaknesses, you create another version of yourself or another game plan for you here. You throw out the garbage over there. And then now that you're ready, you take on a new identity and then you just go. So that's the way your pattern works, which is totally cool. So you might have a different pattern of releasing, which is really fun. It doesn't matter as long as you're releasing. So that's where you're at. So really nice job helping you do it a bit more efficiently, where you can just let go on the fly, all the stuff. It's like, oh gosh, you know what? I don't need this. And you just dump it off. Again, the way I talked about on the talk, you don't dump it off, you recycle it, and that basically creates fuel for you to go even further. So instead of having a big garbage pile, they go, yep, I need to leave this now. Basically what you do is like you reinvent that garbage pile, you use it as a source to keep propelling you forward, which is a bit more efficient. So at the level that you're at, this is also where other people around you start to say shift and transform because of you. Okay, let's see. Is it Tela? Tila? Oops, wait, Tila. Yeah, I'd like to scan on my releasing now. Yeah, so seems like you might be new or something like that. And so what's happening is that, again, before you're always trying to figure stuff out in the mind, right? Before you can move on. But with XI and maybe, the 18 days or whatever that you've done, what's happened, Tila, is that, a wave is taking you. And at first you might have been scared. It's like, shit, where's this wave taking me? Because I got to know what's happening before I go into it. Again, that's very slow. And again, if you're not proper in the mind, it's going to take you into the wrong direction. So now what you're doing is like you're starting to trust the wave, the direction that you're going to, which is going towards. Really nice. So you're starting to say release, release the hold of your mind and really flow into the body, which is really nice. And this is where a lot of things start happening for you. So that's where you are. Okay. So trust, and the trust is not in me or anything else. It's basically XI, or maybe the 18 days have allowed you to trust your higher version of who you are, which will take care of you. Okay. This is Veronica Kuro. New in 18 days. Would love a scan progress. Sure. So take a breath in. Veronica. So, you've been suppressed, seems all in your life. You just seem like you're very insecure. So, what you do is you let other people make decisions for you, right? But at a very deep level, it's like, God, you know what? I could have done better than that. You know what? I was that right person for the job, much more than the person that got the job. So in your life, you've missed out, say, on a lot of opportunities because again, you didn't think that you were good enough. But then when that opportunity passed by, it's like, shit. You know what? I could have done that. That could have been me. Why wasn't that me? So in your situation, you're literally you're starting to say awaken, Veronica, which is really nice. And you're starting to go, why not me? Right. And you're starting to see past situations where, you missed out on things and you go, gosh, you know what? That person that they hired, for example, I would have been a lot better in that job. So you're reclaiming yourself. You're getting more confidence, probably doing the 18 days 18-day hyper meditations. You're getting more confident. You're getting more solid. This is where you'll have an opportunity or to step up to the plate. This is where you speak up. This is where you voice yourself. You take action. But one thing is that you know having that confidence and so on like that, that should have happened between zero to before 0 to 12 or so, right? So that's when those things should happen. So now that you're reclaiming yourself at your age, you're going to go back and kind of feel, say, younger, which is a positive for you. But you're going to go back because it's a lot easier to shift and transform, at a younger age for you. So confidence comes in. You look in the mirror, and you might not like yourself at first. Again, it's not that you don't like yourself. So you just keep looking in the mirror, doing a mirror meditation. But you'll start to see all the stuff that you thought was you. Okay. And then your real self comes in and you start to look at yourself and go, wow, I really do deserve things. I really am worthy of having the finer or the better things in life. This is where you step into your life and take action. So really happy for you, hon. When is the next total human reset? Not exactly sure if we're going to have one this year just because there's so many things going on. But through the process, you can still connect with Alex or Ali, to get you. So we'll have like mini resets, so to speak, to prepare for you because the next total human reset is going to be huge. It's going to be massive, say, transformations for a lot of people. So we just want to do it right. Okay. So that's coming up for you. Not exactly the date, though. This is Veronica. Hello, Moss. Can you scan, please, my daughter? So, um, so you and your daughter feel like you're connected. From what I'm seeing, it's like literally her head space. I don't know if she has head issues or kind of like anxiety issues or not being here type issues. Those kind of patterns. So again, spatial referencing is highly important for you. What I see is that you've been, say, basically insecure in the past, and basically you have a you've latched onto her into her headspace. So it's almost like let's break that pattern for you. So you two feel so identical. Okay. And now that you've awakened, which is really good, now that you've awakened, what's happening is like you're seeing your daughter and going, something's not right. But if you observe your daughter, whatever has happened, say whatever happened to you at 4, something similar might have happened to her at 4. So if this pattern would have continued without XI, say whatever happened to you at 30, something similar would happen to her at 30. Again, this is where your genetics are literally morph in together because you guys are so connected. You're just literally it's like a blood transfusion, but just like a genetic transfusion. She becomes you, okay? Just the way you became um, your grandmother or your mom, one of the two. Anyway, so especially like in your 20s, for example, it's like shit. I don't want to turn into that, right? And then you try to move away and just step away from your parents and so on, but you couldn't because you were so latched onto them. Again, it's because that cord, you can only go so far. So basically, that same pattern is happening to you and your daughter. But the good thing is that you're becoming more exponentially intelligent. You're starting to see what's happening. So when you're looking at your daughter, go, and it's not just you, by the way. Obviously, the father side of it. When you're looking through that. Um, or seeing the changes in your daughter or incongruencies, you go, God, was I like that when I was a kid? And you'll go, oh gosh, I was. And then it starts to heal you. And then as she say connects her, what as you change, she starts to disconnect from that connection, and she starts to, again, you cut that cord, so to speak, and she becomes more and more of herself. And then she looks at you, she changes. You look at her, she changes. So you both become, say, independent of each other, which is really nice. So that's where you are. Really nice job. Okay. Uh, and again, comment in if that was correct here. Yep. She's 6 years old. Yep, exactly. So again, you don't want her to turn into your life. You want her to have, even if you have a fantastic life. I say that sometimes, and you go, well, what's wrong with my life? Well, it's like, well, there might not be anything wrong with your life, but again, you don't want the same diseases. You don't want to give your children the same issues, the same diseases. You don't want to give same, your children is all the distorted patterns, right? We don't want to replicate what we did in society. Otherwise, we don't grow and expand. So, this is Hannah Moss and team. Thank you so much for all that you do. There's no way I could have changed my life this much without XI. Really beautiful. Thank you so much. Let's see. They scan me. This is Anna, and then we'll call it a day, guys. So Anna Chowdhury. Yeah. So it just seems like you're. Uh, and it just seems like you feel like you're going through a life crisis type scenario. But if you look at it, it's always, um, and then with every life crisis that you've had in the past, you've kind of lost a bit of yourself. You get more and more lost. So in this case, in this scenario, um, and it's almost like, if X happens, I'm going to die. That kind of pattern, that kind of feel. But then, you don't die. The thing happens and then you recover, but you're wounded. So, so over time, it's like, oh shit, here we go again. You know what? And we get more and more fearful of that. So that's basically the pattern. In this case, though, Anna, what's happening for you is that literally that you are, it's kind of a life crisis type deal, or some situation that you think is that. But in this case, and we just talked about this on the 18 days, some of the things that you've gone through in the past, you'll revisit. But in this case, it's literally a disconnect of the old patterns. It's a disconnect. So you're using, say, this life crisis, so to speak, to really, say, clean yourself out. So it's a great opportunity. So if you go through it, yeah, you might feel the pain or whatever, or the hesitation. But as you go through the process, you'll go, God, thank God it happened, because if that didn't happen, um, you know, um, all this stuff wouldn't have removed out of me. So it's really a fast way to like disconnect from your old self, the old versions of self, the old patterns, and just like really, really start fresh. So instead of using your life crisis as, again, being damaged, and then healing improperly, now you're using this life crisis to heal properly and come to a solid sense of self. Okay. Last one, just because of the name, Baba G. Please scan me. How is my progress? You're actually doing really, really well for the most part. Um, it just seems like you're letting go of, say, parental attitudes or issues, or you feel like the type of person that was always, say, oppressed or compressed, and then you went inwards, and as you went inwards, take a breath in. As you went inwards, you started to find out more of the possibilities of what could be. Okay, but what happens is when people do that, or is, again, they have pressure that forces them to go inwards. And then as they go inwards, like I said, the expansiveness or possibilities come out. But what happens is that with this pattern, if you don't resolve it, what'll happen is that as you ascend higher and higher, so to speak, or as you want to go more and more deeper into, say, what life is about and understanding life, you would have to create more pressure upon yourself, because that's the pattern that that's the pattern that's opened up to you, or how you've opened up. It's like, oh, pressure equals awakening. So basically, it's like the more pressure, the more awakening. But in that scenario, it's great, but what happens to those individuals, the pressure gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it gets so big that it literally crushes the physical form. Although you do become, say, really awakened before those last moments of death. It's like, oh shit, that's what it's about. But you're not around to enjoy it, because it's just like, boom. Okay. This is very similar to, again, the pressure you use as a great tool, which is really fantastic. But what I was helping you with is like, do I really let's change that equation, that pressure equals awakening. Okay. This is more like, yes, we need pressure, but this is more of a honing type frequency. This is where, you manipulate, say, that pressure and how you see it to push you into a higher space. So you're using pressure as a catapult, or as a catalyst, or as rocket fuel to push you into higher states. So instead of, again, compressing you, it's like expanding you, again, elevating you, or and sometimes catapulting you. This is the same pattern that people use a lot of pressure. Like people, Silicon Valley, for example, this is where people, a lot of individuals, highly intelligent, say not the best social skills, so to speak, right? Well, like Elon, and so on. What they did was, it's like, well, I'm just going to be, highly successful. Hence the growth of Silicon Valley, right? I'm going to be highly successful. And then that motivation of being, say, an outcast, right? Or being bullied, so to speak, right? That pushes them into becoming successful. And not just Silicon Valley. I'm just giving you an example. But anyway, so that they just keep pushing people, right? And so they always need to be pushed or bullied to create more and more money. And then in a lot of cases, unfortunately, they turn around and then they become the bully themselves to push back on that pressure. So it's the same kind of pattern, but different for you. All right. Again, guys, special announcement coming up for you at 12:30 my time, which is in about 45 minutes from now. Love you to be there. Highly important for you, and for consciousness as well. It's literally a pivotal point for truth to come out. So, like you to join me, the link should be there available for you. All right. As we end, guys, notice what you notice. Notice the details. I'll see you. Peace.